So I'm going to hand over now to Rebecca Beaumont and Louise Speakman from Lancaster University, and their talk is on Information and Academic Literacies Toolkit, Creativity and Innovation in Raising the Profile of Information and Academic Literacies in Curriculum Design. Thank you.
Apologies for the long title. Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Beaumont and I am Head of Learning Development at Lancaster University. So I manage a team of around 11 learning developers, all based out in faculties, but some of them are centrally based and support students with EAP and Maths Stats. To you.
It's really small. So I'm Louise Speakman. I'm Head of Library Engagement, again, at Lancaster University. I support the faculty librarians in developing the curriculum, being embedded, liaising, building relationships. Yeah, that's what I'm at.
Right, thank you. Okay, so what we'd like to talk to you today is, so we're going to talk to you about a toolkit, but just to kind of set the scene, it's really kind of important that we talk through our purpose, what's going on at Lancaster at the moment. So as well as all the kind of financial struggles we're going through this curriculum transformation. Has anybody else gone through that recently? Yeah. So at the moment, yeah, everything is kind of up in the air. It's been going on for the last 2 years. It's supposed to be completed in a year's time. So that's kind of, you know, the purpose that I'll go through. Then we'll talk through what is this toolkit that we've come up with? How does it work? We're already seeing the impact, so we'll talk through some kind of impacts we're already seeing, and then we want to kind of talk through our ideas of evaluation of future work, but also possibly ask for your advice in terms of how we actually evaluate this going forward, and over kind of maybe a longer period of time. So, okay, this is what Lancaster University are doing at the moment. So the whole idea is that they are wanting to streamline the design, shape and delivery of the curriculum. Lancaster University has a little bit of a weird model when it comes to programmes, in a sense that we've never really had a programme design. It's always been very modular. So students could be doing lots of different modules and there'd be all sorts of different kind of module variations, and there wouldn't be any kind of clear programme or distinct programmes for students. So the whole point of the curriculum transformation is to change that. And very early on, the CTP team were very keen that it was kind of a collaborative process, that we would be involved, you know, everybody across the university, internal staff, students will be involved in the development of this new curriculum at Lancaster. It also set out some kind of key signature areas that it wanted to promote within the curriculum. So inclusivity, it wants the curriculum to be inspirational, distinctive and attractive in line with the university strategy. So this was all kind of going on as me and Louise were kind of coming together as a kind of new leadership team. And we really thought this was an amazing opportunity to get something that we've always wanted, which is to get information and academic literacy skills or teaching embedded into programme design so that it's seamless. It's not bolt on. We're not just asked from week to week, oh, can you come and run this session on X, Y, and Z? But for the student, there is this kind of, they don't even know what's happening. Basically, they're just kind of on this programme and they're getting that support that they need in a very seamless way. However, we didn't want to kind of start from scratch in terms of our thinking with this. And we were quite lucky, actually, that somebody in Louise's team, who is a faculty librarian in the Faculty for Arts and Social Sciences, Paul, had actually developed this absolutely brilliant information literacy conceptual framework. It was a rather long document though, wasn't it? So that was kind of something that we thought about. Could that be it? Would that be it in terms of what we could develop, you know, a kind of lengthy, wordy conceptual framework? Or could we do something else that was a bit more creative, a bit more innovative, and would make it easier for academic staff to embed, you know, what we were kind of talking about into their programmes and into the curriculum design? So this was our kind of purpose in terms of what we wanted. And at this point, we didn't know it was going to be a toolkit. We didn't know what iteration it was going to take, but we needed to kind of come up with a very, very clear purpose between both teams. I must say that this was a really kind of collaborative project with both faculty librarians and learning developers. which was, you know, a really kind of good way of getting everybody together and on board with what we were thinking. So we wanted to raise the profile and develop the teaching and learning of information and academic literacies within the curriculum. That was our first kind of purpose. The other thing that I should mention is curriculum transformation is moving from first year, we had a part 1, part 2 model, to now we're going through the levels 4 to 7. So this is a new thing for Lancaster University. I know a lot of universities work like this, but we would never talk about level 4, 5 or 6. It was part 1 and part 2. So that was quite different as well. So we wanted to kind of familiarise ourselves with that, and also think about how our toolkit could map onto that new way of progression within the degree programme. Because of our ethos from both teams, we wanted a really holistic and scaffolding approach, which would encourage the integration and the embedding of information and academic literacy. So again, this getting rid of this idea of the bolt-on and moving towards a seamless way of integrating it into the curriculum. And we were also keen that what we should do would have very, very clear programme learning outcomes, because that was something that the CTP team has said would change, that each programme would have very clear, distinctive programme learning outcomes. So again, we kind of took that into consideration. So our basic purpose is to provide academic staff and those involved in curriculum design with a reference point in identifying the skills and knowledge students require to develop as successful learners. So that's where we kind of started. Next slide, please. So in terms of how we thought it was creative, we feel that at this point for Lancaster, nobody had kind of mapped learning at levels 4 to 7 yet within the kind of academic departments for preparation. So we were kind of thinking, how could we kind of lead the way in that? We also wanted something that looked really good. So we're really lucky that we have a digital skills developer within the library team who is brilliant. So we kind of went to him and said, we want something that's really easy to use. Staff will be able to navigate it. So he came up with something really good for us that's easy to navigate, creative. And also we wanted something that both our teams were happy with as well, that they could all kind of engage with. And the other thing we wanted to make sure is Lancaster has developed a new education framework. So we needed to make sure that whatever we were producing was kind of really rooted in that education framework for it to have a bit more, the academic staff would think, actually, yes, we can see the direct links to what we've been asked to do. Right. So Louise is now going to give a demo. We're just going to hope that we can get
to remember how to do it. Oh. God, no, what have I done? It's always going to go wrong, sorry.
Okay, what is it you want?
So we need the links. But when I press
Yeah,
tab,
we
it
just
wants
want to
to
go.
Okay, so
Alt control.
it's alt and tab. That one?
It could be, I don't. That's fine. Yeah, that would like, yeah, that's fine. Yeah. It was always going to go wrong. Sorry.
I don't think it's. Oh no, that's conceptual.
Okay. Okay, so Rebecca's making it sound like it was dead easy. It really wasn't. There was a lot of collaboration, and it's quite funny because Megan and Kirsty's just been on about it. Monica was talking about it this morning. There was a lot of collaboration involved in this. The learning developers and the faculty librarian and the digital skills developer, we had ideas of what we wanted. The digital skills developer said, absolutely not, that's not going to work. This is the way it should, this is what options we're going to give you. So it wasn't quite as easy as Rebecca's saying, but let's be honest about it. So this is the information and academic literacies. So we started off with an information literacies framework, which was quite a lengthy document. Then we got together and it's changed to a 7-page document. I think it was a lot more than that initially. And it's built on the SCONL pillars. So, it's all informed the way we've gone. Let's have a look down. So now I've got to do it here, haven't I? Yeah. So I just want to show you, oh goodness, let's go back to this one. Okay, there you go. Okay, so it started off as that big document, and we needed something that was much more visible. So both the framework and the toolkit are available. So whichever academics want to use, they can. This one is just a little bit more visual. Can I move that down? So as you can see, we've got the tabs at the top. So we've got the introduction, which has got the 6 strands that we believe, which is come from evidence that the information literacy is formed on. So the identify and plan, search and review, manage and organise, evaluate and analyse, present and communicate, and ethics and integrity. So you can see that there's actually information literacy in there, but there's also academic skills in there. So we've put them together. We've got a nice little diagram underneath. And it just shows that it's, you know, it's an iterative process. Again, it's just a nice way of demonstrating it. Hopefully that'll come up. Okay, so we've got a little bit of how to use this, but hopefully it's self-explanatory, but we did put this in just so people can see what it's for and how to use it. And again, it's just like what Rebecca was talking about, our scaffolding approach. So let's go back to the top, hopefully. Wrong one. So we'll start with undergrad level 4. As Rebecca said, this is new to us, and this was a new concept for us. We didn't do it this way originally. All of the levels go with the higher education qualification. So again, it's backed up by evidence. It's not just something that we've thought of, you know, over coffee. And if I just scroll down a little bit. And then you can see that we've got the strands. So we've got strands for each level. Now I'll have to pull that one down. All of the strands are here. As I show you the different levels, you'll notice that level 4 is the one that's got the most learning outcomes, as we would probably expect. I'm not going to go through each strand because we'll be here for ages, but there is a QR code so you can browse and have a look yourself. So these are the learning outcomes for level 4. So the idea is that the academic or academics can have a look and go, okay, so my level 4 needs to be at this point by the end of level 4 before they go into level 5. And I think there's 12 maybe. Let me have a look. Yeah, so there's 12, but that doesn't mean that we have to go and do all these separately. We would just make sure that they were embedded in the session, or we would speak to the academics about it. And it's just a nice checklist, I suppose. So as you can see, for level 4, they're going to realise that they actually need academic information, you know, that, you know, depending on where they're coming from. And something else that we need to think about is that actually we see a lot of PhD students in Lancaster. But a lot of them come from experience and that kind of background and not study. So we can also use it for this way as well. So there's a different few ways of doing it, but we haven't done the toolkit for PhD students. So again, so it's, you know, the things that we know already. So, but we know this, and we had to realise that we can't assume everybody else knows this. And it was a bit like what you guys were saying. We assume that everybody knows how to find information. Everybody knows that they should be able to use databases, but actually it's not always the case. So they're going to develop the knowledge of the academic landscape, the difference between primary and secondary sources. I'm not going to read them all, but you can see that we've got, you know, that basic foundation, and that's what we're going to work on in level 4. And it gives the academics, oh yeah, that's where they should be. Oh. So then in level 5, if I scroll down, I'll go to the first strand again. And we'll see, hopefully, that we haven't got as many, because the expectation is they'll have done all them 12 in level 4. So now we're going to build on it and use that scaffolding in level 5. And we've had a look to see actually what could they do. I don't know about you guys, but level 5 they tend to go through the gaps. So we need to try and pick those up. So that's where the level 5 is. And then go back up to level 6. And again, the learning outcomes are much smaller because we're in level 6, we're in 3rd year, and we should have been scaffolding and building already at level 4 and level 5. So yeah, so that's how the toolkit works. And we've got postgrad, masters, I have a feeling. It's quite difficult, you know, don't you think? And they're just a bit more research focused, their learning outcomes, just slightly different to level 4, level 5 and level 6. I'm just going to go back up. So contact and further assistance, it's got our details on, it's got our web pages on, and it's got if you want to explore it more. So just a usual contact. So the case studies, we asked the learning developers and the faculty librarians, what are you already doing? When you were already embedded in the curriculum, how can we show other faculties, other programmes, how this is going to work and how important it is? So we have now got case studies up on here. And one thing that I can say is we sent this out to friendly colleagues in faculties for feedback. So we didn't just go, this is what we want. We actually sent it out and said, would you use this? Is there any point? And we got absolutely outstanding comments back. So, and we did change some things, didn't we, because of that comment. So yeah, so we've got all the different case studies that you'll be able to see, and then our online resources. So in essence, everything should be in one place. It's nice and easy. We went for this format in the end because any of us can edit it and it's not relying on one person. Initially, it was just one person and that wouldn't work. So this is why we've gone this way. Oh God, I've got to find the slides again. Oh, couldn't find it.
Okay, so I just want, because we haven't got much time, I'm just going to kind of briefly talk through about actually in reality, how has this been used? When we designed this, we didn't really know how in practical terms it was going to be used. However, what has come from this is well, one of the things that come from this is that, for example, the management school. So me and Louise publicised it. We're at whatever meeting we were in, we were talking about, we plugged it at everything. We went to CTP meetings, we went everywhere to kind of plug it. And basically, on the back of that, in the management school, they were already thinking about having this kind of professional development module that would kind of catch all students, and it would be a mixture of employability skills, academic skills, library skills, that kind of thing. And obviously, when we had conversations with the Associate Deans for Education in the management school and we showed them this resource, they were very keen to kind of think about how we could work with this. And so how it's been realised now, I don't know if you want to show that document, if we can get to it, but basically there's now collaboration between the faculty librarian, the learning developer and the careers coach on this module in every single department, and programme outcomes, learning outcomes from our toolkit have been directly embedded into this module, which is exactly kind of what we were hoping for. But I think this was kind of something that we didn't think would take, we didn't think it'd be as quick. We thought this would take quite a few years. But basically, this is kind of one of the ways that the faculty librarian and learning developer have worked together. So they basically used the toolkit, identified some core topics from the toolkit, thought about the kind of way that it'll be taught, thought about the learning outcomes, what students are going to learn, what are they going to get out of it. They've even thought about how they can use the toolkit to kind of think about pre-session activities, post-session activities to make sure all those learning outcomes are hit. So this is kind of one of the major ways so far that we've seen an impact. We've also working with another faculty who are doing a common curriculum, and we're thinking that this will be kind of using it, maybe not exactly the same way, but in a bit of a similar way. So that's kind of one of the impacts we're already seeing. And then finally,
Oh, I thought somebody else's now. Oh, it's too fast.
It's not slick. It's not what happens when we practice.
Here we go.
Oh, okay.
Cats. Mine.
Right, okay.
Conference
next one.
cat.
Next slide, please. So yeah, so Louise is just going to talk through evaluation of future, and that's.
Okay, so as we've already said, there's already a direct impact on CTP, and we took it to other. We've shown it to other institutes as well who are also really interested in doing it this way. CEDA has also taken up that layout as well, so it seems to be being a what's the word I'm looking for, like an example of how people are going forward, certainly within the university. The collaboration between FLs and the learning developers really has strengthened. It's shown there that they can co-teach, where there may have been a bit of reluctance initially. It's showing that actually it can work together. It's making the most of our resources. We're all actual times that everyone, you know, the whole sector is. So it's making the most of what we've already got as well, making the most of those resources we've got. For the future, we're planning to gather testimonials and more case studies from people who are already using it. Evaluation, we're looking at so short-term impact, we can already show that, but we're looking at how we can show long-term impact. And that's kind of where you guys are going to come in, because we're just thinking, do you have any ideas of how we can get a long-term impact on this toolkit? How can we gather that evidence? You don't have to tell us now. If you've got any ideas, that'd be great. But you can also contact us. Anybody got any ideas? It's a difficult one. Evaluation is so hard, and it's one of those things that, you know, do you do a survey, or, you know, it's such a difficult one to try and measure, I think, evaluation. And it's something that we are certainly thinking about for the long term. Short term, we can show it. Medium term, we can show it. Long term, not quite so much. Any questions?